And we're back with some more Arizona Coyotes franchise mode in FHM 10. And in this one, we are going to get the Year 5 simulation underway. And we're going to see how we do under the coaching of Marco Sturm, who is our new head coach, replacing Andre Tourigny, who did not have desirable results several years in a row. So I figured it was time for a change on the bench. Also acquired Jordan Gavin over the offseason, a solid winger who is much like Furcus and Keller in terms of his attributes. So it should be interesting to see what this team is about this year. Unfortunately, we did lose out on Mr. Keaton Verhoff, who I believe signed with Tampa Bay. Yes, indeed. He signed for, oh boy, a cap hit of $12.15 million for 5 years. I was not paying that much for Keaton Verhoff. I was struggling to pay 11 mil. I mean, that was my absolute maximum. And then he goes and wants, what was it, 13.3, I think, is what he wanted for a counteroffer from us. So I was not having that. So we do still have Cedar and Bachvist on the team because of that. In goal, we have Lascelles and Kosa. On defense, you have Veilleux, Saylor, Bachvist, Cedar, Zellweger, Salminen, and McLaughlin. And at forward, you have Christensen, Gavin, Furcus, Keller, LaCroix, Fedorov, Stenberg, Jaeger, Michkov, Barrett, Ruck, Bakoyev, Eriksson, and Fox. And that is our roster going into this regular season. And something I really want to happen this year is for Adam Salminen to get an increase in ice time. Last year, he had 1,250 minutes of time on ice. So I'm hoping that's going to increase at least a little bit this season. And if it doesn't, like if he's constantly playing on the top 6 pair rather than in the top 4 like he is right now with Veilleux, then I might have to consider trading whoever is getting in his way, whether that's Cedar or Bachvist. But thankfully, Marco Sturm seems to agree that Salminen should be on the top 4, so we'll see what he can do this year. We're also going to have to keep an eye on Clayton Keller. I know I've said this over and over again for the past few episodes, but it has to be said again that the situation with Clayton Keller is very delicate, so we have to definitely keep an eye on him as the season progresses. And so with that, I think we'll advance through the first part of the season, and we'll probably get to November 1st and see where we're at. Well, first major injury of the year, Braden Jaeger out with a second-degree MCL sprain for 2 to 3 weeks. All right, that's not terrible. Still not good, but, you know, not the worst thing that could have happened. So he will go on the injury list for right now. And thankfully, we do have a lot of depth at center, but we will still certainly miss his presence. Okay, so we are on November 1st. We are currently 10-11. Not what I thought would happen, to be honest with you. I thought we would be much better to start out the season. As of right now, we are 4 points behind Winnipeg and Nashville and 8 points behind Chicago and St. Louis. So the Central is still very much wide open, but we can't really afford to keep going on the pace that we've been going as of right now. As we take a look at the schedule and go back to October, or actually, I guess the season started in September. We start out with a win against the Rangers, but then it's a loss, a loss, a loss, and a win. So that's a 3-game losing streak to start the season. And then heading into October, you have a win, a loss, a win, a win, a loss, a loss, a win, a loss, a loss, a win, a win, a loss, a win, a loss, a win, and a loss. Like it seems like we can't get any kind of rhythm going here. We just keep going back and forth, and that's a bit concerning, to be honest. Like, I'm seeing some good games in there, and then they're just immediately followed up by terrible games, and then those terrible games are immediately followed up by some pretty good games. So I just don't really know. There doesn't seem to be any consistency with this team other than the fact that they're inconsistent. So let's see what's going on here. Let's see who is doing what. Let's start out in goal. You have William Lascelles in 13 games played with a .900 save percentage and a goal saved above average of -2.07. That is, oh boy, that is certainly unusual for him. That is, yeah, that's a rough start for him. I mean, I know there have been seasons where he's had rough starts in the past, but this is bit concerning, especially after the performance that he had during the playoffs last season, a .935 save percentage, and all of a sudden just goes down to .900. And then Sebastian Kosa in 9 games played with a .906, so he's not much better. I mean, his goal saved above average is at .29, so a little bit better, but not by much. Yeah, that is certainly a bit of a concern. Skater-wise, you have Furcus and Gavin leading the way with 19 points each with 7 goals and 12 assists. Then you have Keller, Salminen, and Stenberg, each with 14 points. So Salminen off to a good start in his sophomore season. 62 grade currently, and he looks like he is starting to get up there. His offensive ratings are looking really good right now. And I mean, even his defensive ratings are starting to get up there. His positioning's at 16, stick checking is 18, defensive read at 15. He's no slouch on either side of the ice. So it certainly seems at the moment that he may actually be able to live up to that 4.5 star potential. And that would certainly be good for us. Then you have Saylor with 13 points, 12 points for LaCroix, 11 points for Christensen, 10 for Michkov, 9 for Veilleux and Cedar, 7 for Fedorov and Barrett, 5 for Jaeger in 6 games. He's still injured day to day. Then you have 4 points for Eriksson, McLaughlin, and Berkoyev, 3 for Ruck and Bachvist, 2 for Zellweger, and then nothing for Fox. And then, of course, Kosa and Lascelles with no points either. And now let's take a look at the team stats. Goals for per game, we are, 22nd in the league with a 3.1. First is the Ottawa Senators with a 4.11. And then goals against per game, we are currently 21st in the league with 3.38. Yeah, it's a bit rough. Looking a bit rough. See the power play, we are currently, not liking the look of this. 31st in the league with a 14.9% power play. And penalty kill, all right, at least the penalty kill is good. 86.3, third in the league. But still, overall, not what I like to see. So let's see if there's something we can do here. Because we cannot be having this kind of inconsistency throughout the year. That's not going to result in a playoff berth. I think we would stand to benefit from getting a defensive defenseman. Because currently on defense, we have Bachvist, Salminen, Sather, and Zellweger, all in offensive roles. And then Veyu, a two-way defenseman, Cedar, a two-way defenseman. I think I might trade Bachvist. Because not only is he, one of 4 offensive defensemen that we currently have going, he's also really fallen off in point scoring, only 3 points so far in 21 games played. So I think I will try to find a trade for Bachvist. Yeah, it's between Zellweger and Salminen, I would say, are our best defenders in terms of actual defense. Yeah, I think we need to get a defensive defenseman here. As far as forwards go, let's see what's going on with Keller. He's still a 3.5-star ability. That being said, if I can use him in a trade to the point where we can get a really solid defensive defenseman, then I might do that. Because at this point, we have Gavin, we have Furcus, we have so many other scoring wingers that I'm not sure how necessary Keller is at this point. I mean, don't get me wrong, I respect everything that he's done for this franchise, but I do think that the time of Keller's tenure here in Arizona may be drawing near to a close at some point this season. I mean, once again, that's assuming that we can find a trade, right? But still, that is definitely something that is a possibility at this point, especially considering our record. Like, that's not exactly convincing me to keep Keller at the moment. Adam Fantilli on the trade block for Columbus. I mean, I would imagine he is going to take a lot to trade for, but we do need a center. We do need a first-line center. So let's just see what it would take. I mean, I would imagine this is going to be a lot. Wow. I'm not doing this, but I even put Salminen on there along with Tuarila, Keller, and 2 first-round picks, and we're not even close. Nope, this is not happening. There is no way this is happening if they're not even taking Adam Salminen, who, once again, has a 4.5-star potential and is certainly looking like he will hit it at this rate with how he's been going. So yeah, that's not happening, unfortunately. Nothing's really standing out to me on the trade block other than, of course, Mr. Fantilli, but obviously that's not happening. So might have to think outside the box here for a trade if we're going to make one, and possibly trade for a player that's not on the trade block. All right, so I've got our trades lined up here, and we're going to be making 2 trades. The first of which is to the Winnipeg Jets, and we'll be sending Adam Bachvist to Winnipeg in exchange for a 2nd-round pick from New Jersey. Now, we are also unfortunately going to have to retain some cap, but luckily it's not too bad as Bachvist only has a 1-year contract, so that'll be gone off the books after this year. So Bachvist at 50% of his salary for a 2nd-round pick offer trade. And the second trade we'll be making is to the Florida Panthers, and it involves Marcus Ruck, the rights to Vital Vincent, and a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th-round pick, all for this year. And coming back the other way will be Reese Hamilton, who is a 2.5-star defender. He is solid defensively, 18 defensive read, 17 positioning, 15 checking. Hitting is a bit weak at 12, but what really impresses me about Hamilton is his 20 passing and 20 puck handling as a defensive defenseman. So you got to think that's going to come in handy. And it seems based on his average grade so far in the NHL, it seems like it's working out for him. So I would certainly love to get a guy like that on our team. And we will also be trading for Cameron Cardona, who is currently on the Charlotte Checkers, 2.5-star ability. He's just a solid depth forward, good personality. So if he could just be a solid 13th forward, then I'd be satisfied with the addition of Cameron Cardona. So it is Marcus Ruck, the rights to Vital Vincent, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th all for this year in exchange for Reese Hamilton and Cameron Cardona offer trade. So with that, let's simulate ahead and see if both of those trades are accepted. Wow. Adam Bachvist is injured. Hopefully not for too long, as we do have a trade involving him. Okay, day to day. Good. Hopefully that doesn't affect whether Winnipeg accepts the trade or not. Wow, Adam Salminen, 4 assist game against the Seattle Kraken. He is really starting to come into his own. All right, good. The injury to Adam Bachfest did not affect Winnipeg accepting the trade, so it'll be Adam Bachfest with 50% of his salary retained to the Winnipeg Jets in exchange for a second round pick in this year's draft, complete trade. And to the Florida Panthers, you have Marcus Ruck, a 5th, a 6th, and a 7th, and the rights to Vital Vincent in exchange for Reese Hamilton and Cameron Cardona, complete trade. There it is. So couple of solid moves, and perhaps the biggest acquisition that we're going to make today, Braden Yeager, coming off the injured reserve list. So we now have a full roster of 23 once again, and hopefully those trades will make us a bit better as we look to make our way back into a playoff spot, which at the moment, I mean, it's certainly possible. We've been winning the past couple of games. We now have 24 points, and the difference between us and third is 4 points. So it's certainly possible, but we gotta, make sure we start winning more consistently here. So that being said, I think we get advanced to December 1st and see where we're at. Okay, so we're on December 1st now. We're 16, 15, and 4. We have yet to find any semblance of consistency whatsoever, unfortunately. As we go back to November, we got a 7-2 win against Seattle, then another win against Seattle, 5-2, then a 4-2 win. So there's a 3-game winning streak, and then a 6-3 loss to Calgary, a win over Toronto, 4-2, then a 2-1 loss to LA, a 4-3 loss to Vancouver, a 2-1 loss to Nashville, so a 3-game losing streak completely negates 3-game winning streak we had to start the month. Then you have a 7-6 loss against Edmonton, a 2-1 loss against Toronto, a 6-5 loss against Calgary, a 7-1 loss against Pittsburgh, and then a 1-0 win over the Islanders, and a 4-3 win over Washington. This has just been a very, very ugly start for your Arizona Coyotes. And despite the fact that William Massell has actually been doing better in terms of his save percentage. He's at a 909 now and a goal saved above average of 1.91. We're not, I don't know, there's just something not clicking here. Obviously, because we got to figure out what it is, because if we continue on this pace, then we are definitely not making the playoffs. I mean, it's certainly possible, right? We're at 36 points. Chicago's in 4th with 40 points, so we could still catch the playoffs, but only if we actually get our act together here. Let's see what's going on here. You have Jagger Furcus leading the way in points with 30. Then you have Gavin with 29, 25 for Keller, 24 for Sather and Salminen, 22 for Stenberg, 20 for Michkov, 19 for Vayu, 18 for Fedorov and Christensen, 17 for LaCroix, 13 for Cedar, 12 for Hamilton, 10 for Yeager, 9 for Barrett, 7 for Bukoyev, 4 for Erickson and McLaughlin, 3 for Zellweger, and 2 for Cardona. And obviously we saw in goal, Lascelles' save percentage is getting better, but it's still not the point where he's stealing us games at the moment. Let's see where we're at in the team stats departments. 21st in goals for per game, 3.14. Goals against per game, we are 21st with a 3.34. Power play is currently at a 15.3, 29th in the league, and the penalty kill, 4th in the league with an 84.8. So more or less the same as when we last checked. I don't know, I kind of feel like I have to make a change here, but at the same time, I also want to just give the team some time to settle, some time to gel. But at the same time, the pressure's kind of high right now, just given the fact that we're in 7th and, we're coming off a season where we finished 1st in our division. So it's certainly a bit frustrating here. I'm hoping that Mr. William Lassell is going to carry the day here, because we may very well have to rely on him in order to have any chance of getting into the playoffs this year, because he might be our only hope. I'm not going to lie. He might be our only hope. I mean, I hate to put all that on him, but it just seems like nothing else is working for us right now. And there's also, the lack of consistency. I mean, I don't want to doubt Marco Sturm this early on in his tenure, but he's not looking the greatest right now. So I think we'll go ahead to January 1st. There's really not much else that I can think of. I think we just have to hope that the team gels and that we can string some wins together here. Man, we cannot get anything going here. Every time we go on a 3-game winning streak, it's immediately followed up by a 3-game losing streak. Yeah, because you got the 5-1 win against Boston, 7-4 win against Philly, 4-3 loss against Atlanta, but it's followed up by a 6-0 win against Ottawa. But then that's followed up by a 3-1 loss, a 1-0 loss, a 5-3 loss. We can't make up any ground. It's so frustrating. And now we're falling even farther behind. We're at 42 points right now. Winnipeg currently has 50. The playoffs are not looking great right now, to be honest. So frustrating. We have not been able to string together any more than 3 wins the entirety of this season so far. as we go back to September, I'm pretty sure that we have not strung together anything more than 3 wins in a row so far. All right, never mind. We actually did get 4 wins in a row from November 28th up until December 6th. But I think that is our only 4-game winning streak. Yeah, that's our only 4-game winning streak so far this season. Every other time it's followed up by loss, loss, loss. Yeah, I don't know. Oh boy, it's starting to happen. It's happening. Clayton Keller's dropping. He's at a 3-star ability now. I do not like it. Yeah, we're gonna have to move Keller. I think the time has come. Between the lack of team success, Keller's contract being what it is at 2 years left, and the fact that he's dropping now, it may be time. It may be about that time. Only thing is, I don't know what we're gonna be able to get back for him at this point. Like, I'm not sure if there's any team who's even gonna be able to afford him, let alone want to give us anything back for him. And this team is good enough on paper to be in the playoffs. More than good enough on paper. Like, this is probably, honestly, this is probably one of the deepest teams in the league. As we take a look, let's just quickly skim through. I mean, maybe Dallas might be, yeah, I would say Dallas probably has us beat in terms of overall skill. But in general, we can keep up with the best teams in the league as far as, you know, what our team looks like on paper. I mean, we're scrolling through here, and there's not a single team that I see here that we wouldn't be able to compete with as far as overall ability. Yeah, certainly a lot to think about here. So I think we're going to end this one off here. And in the next one, we will determine our course of action here because at the moment, things are not looking good, to say the least. It's been a rough go for your Arizona Coyotes so far this year. And also, considering the circumstances, we're going to have a serious talk about Clayton Keller and what we're going to be able to do with him, if we're going to be able to do anything. And that contract of his is definitely going to be holding us back in the upcoming offseason with the players that we have expiring. Michkov, Fedorov, Stenberg, LaCroix, Cedar I'm not sure about yet, Zellweger, Hamilton. We have so many contracts expiring this year. Michkov is going to want 6.4. Fedorov, what does he want? He wants 4.6. Stenberg, he wants 5.2. There's no way we're going to be able to afford Keller going into next season. So we have to, yeah, I think the time has come. So we're just going to have to hope for the best here in the second half of the season and possibly hope for a miracle. And maybe even consider firing Marco Sturm because it's not been working. It has not been working. And this team should be much, much better than it is. So I'll leave you guys off here. And the next one, we will see what the future holds for your Arizona Coyotes.